That's that little baby. That's that little baby.
If you would like to see more of my videos, please subscribe and hit the like button. Beauties, please excuse my singing in this clip. I just had to add it because it's so funny and it's so me. Too low, baby, you have to go. So what I'm doing in this clip is I am carving out my brows. I had already did my brows off camera. So I'm carving out my brows. I'm using the infallible L'Oreal in the color Honey. That is my favorite go-to concealer. In this part, I'm basically just blending in the concealer, just making sure everything is sharp. After I get done applying the concealer on my lid, I buff it out with like a small eyeshadow brush. I just buff it out to make a smooth canvas, you know. In my outer corner, I just give it like a tapping. Not too much of a swiping motion, but just tap it. The more you tap into the outer corner of your eye, it won't take away the product. Tapping motions actually keeps the product on your eyelid, if that makes sense. Now I add a lighter shade of L'Oreal Infallible on my lid, and I use this to make my eyeshadows pop. Basically, if I'm using a white, I use a lighter concealer to bring out the white in my eyeshadow. I continue to blend that out to my liking. Next, I take that same eyeshadow brush that I use for my outer corner, and I put a little eyeshadow on it just to blend that white out. This next step is to set the eyeshadow the white that I put on my lid, and I just set it with like a lighter shade of eyeshadow just to make it pop a little more. Then I go back and I blend in a little more just to have the transition to make it look so natural. Then I do my liner. Now, here I am using my Milk primer. This primer is a new primer that I use, but when I tell you it sucked my foundation to my skin, it really had my foundation sucked to my skin, and it wasn't like real thick or cakey. This next step is I'm just dabbing a little foundation onto my face. I'm using the Nars Radiant foundation. I love Nars. Like, I really do love Nars. I sometimes usually add a little MAC to it or a Estee Lauder, just, you know, to give me a more matte finish. But I love it by itself. And then, as you see, I buffed it out with a foundation brush, but I had to come back and add another layer because I'm a full wear girl. I love full wear foundation. And so therefore, next I am contouring and highlighting. And as you can see, I highlight my under eye with a lighter concealer. And then I go back with a darker concealer and I conceal the rest of my eyes. It's just something that I like to do because I don't like it too bright, but I like it bright enough. This next step, I just blend out my contour. I blend it out, make it carve out my chin. I carve out my chin. Got that little double chin. After I do that, I carve out my cheekbones. This is my favorite part. I like to snatch my face because I have full face. Like, I have a round, cute face, but I like to carve it out. Contouring is my favorite part. Now, I don't have a big forehead, but I do contour my forehead. I mean, it makes the look complete. This next step is me blending out my concealer. As you can see, I don't like a light concealer, but I like a light enough. So I'm just blending it out, making sure it's smooth, making sure the concealer blends in with the foundation, and just making sure everything looks nice and clean. Then I go back in with that foundation brush just to blend everything together, just so everything can flow together. Foundation, contour, highlight, everything. Next, I apply my lashes, and of course, I apply the next one off camera. But yes, I use my tweezers and my fingers. Then I set my concealer with some setting powder. I use Laura Mercier, and I add a little Ben Nye powder. I don't bake, but I like to press. If you see, I just tap that setting powder into my face. Look at me. I look good, don't I? I just like to set it into my face. I don't like to bake because it makes my face real dry, but this right here sets my face all day. I make sure I get around the bottom of my mouth and around my smile area, because that's where it gets cracked up. You know, the concealer crack up a little bit. So if I set it, I don't have no problem the whole day. On this part, I take that setting powder and go under my contour. It just brightens it up under the contour and carves out my contour a little better before I set it. So then I go in and set my contour with a pressed powder. This pressed powder is a MAC. I like the MAC NC50. It basically brings out my cheekbones a little more, and it doesn't give me like a dry patch. It all blends in together. This next part is me contouring my nose. Now, no, I don't use cream contour on my nose because I don't like it real dark. So I just go straight into the pressed powder and I contour my nose. Y'all see my nose? I just got my nose pierced and it doesn't hurt, but on that video, it was a little sore. Next, I go in with my blush. I don't use too much blush. You see, I'm tapping it into my skin, then roll it. If I use too much, I go to the other side, then I go back to the other side to blend it out. But I like it to look natural, not too rosy, not too red. Then I take a pressed powder that's the color of my skin, and I just blend everything together with that pressed powder. This way, when you go out and you take a picture, you won't get no flashback in your picture. Everything will look flawless together. Now we're using the Strobe and Glow palette from More Beauty. And I love this palette that I have. It is so pigmented. As you can see, it has my cheekbones glowing. Do you hear me? Glowing. And I don't stop. I just keep using it. I just keep going. I love the way it melts into my skin and it gives me that glow that every girl likes to have. Next, I set my face so I can bring that whole look together. Then I start lining these lips, honey. I love to use a brown lip liner when I'm doing a nude color. This brown lip liner is Chestnut and from MAC, but it's one of my favorite lip liners. Then I put on my Pout lip lacquer by More Beauty, also another one of my faves from my collection. And I just keep blotting them lips to get it the way I want, to make the look a little ombre-ish. But who doesn't love a pigmented gloss? Then I go back in with a little more liner just to give it a little more ombre look. So you guys, next I take that pressed powder that I used before. That's my skin tone, and I dab it all over my face just to give it that last set, just to make sure everything is dry, make sure everything is in place. And then I go back to doing my waterline. I think this is the Crayon case black liner that I'm using. Yeah, it is the Crayon case. So I line my waterline, and then after I line my waterline, I kind of buff it out with the eyeshadow underneath, just to set my water. And here is the final look. Isn't she gorgeous? I mean, gorgeous. Do you hear me? Thank you for watching. See you next time.